my name is Jessica Sagra. I'm in the Community Enhancement Department. My title is Real Estate and Housing Coordinator, and my role is mostly managing the CDBG and home HUD grants that we receive each year and the processes for compliance and working with subrecipients on the programs and projects that are funded with this funding source. And I'll let my colleagues Sarah and Nick go ahead and introduce themselves, and then we'll get started.
Morning, everyone. I'm Sarah Villeta. I work with Jess and Nick in Community Enhancement as a Community Liaison Officer.
Hey, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. I'm in a different room. My name is Nick Veit. If you're German, you don't think that's my last name, it's okay. I work with Sarah and Jess also, although I've pushed back a little bit from some of the day-to-day to take over some different grant fund stuff. It's related, but not quite this. So thanks for being here. We appreciate your input to know how to use the money.
Yes, we appreciate it. All right, so today we're here to discuss the Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report for Program Year 2023, which was the fiscal year that just ended. So July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024. It's also called the CAPER. It's a report that we are required to prepare and submit to HUD to kind of to track our accomplishments and performance and our progress towards achieving goals and objectives for this program year. So we set up some goals and objectives. This is what we were going to do. These are the programs we want to fund. These are the goals that we want to meet with that funding. And then we go back and kind of provide an overview of the number of individuals and households assisted and basically an overview of the outcomes. And we take a look at any, challenges that we faced along the way, that sort of thing. And this is the performance and outcomes on the use of community development block grant funding and home investment partnership funding. So this is due 90 days after the end of the county's fiscal year, which is September 28th. We do now have a draft available for review on our website. If you guys want to look at the document closely and provide some comments, there's also a comment form. But yeah, so we are looking just to provide an overview of what our accomplishments were today and get some of your feedback. So our program year 2023 goals for the CDBG and home funds were to create and sustain affordable housing, preserve and improve existing communities, and promote healthy and self-sufficient families. So we utilized both funding sources to try to meet these goals this past year. We had about close to 1.6 million in CDBG to work with, from last year's grant specifically. And then as you can see, we actually spent more than that because that just shows that we're actually making good progress in spending down our funds. Essentially, we're spending, prior year funding, we're catching up on spending down. And that's the same thing for the home grant. We had about 650,000 available in program year 2023 and spent about 120,000 more than that. So things are moving along. We're making good progress and doing a lot of the things we said we would, which is great. So under the goal to create and sustain affordable housing, 76 low and moderate income homeowners received critical home repairs or rehabilitation. So we work with 3 different nonprofits to complete those projects. So we work with Project Homes, Rebuilding Together, and Habitat for Humanity. The critical home repair program is a little bit less funding, but more critical needs to try to really stabilize the house and address any emergency or critical needs, if the roof needs to be replaced or HVAC system needs to be replaced. And then the comprehensive rehab program, we do kind of less of those projects, but more funding goes into each house. And that's when, if there's several items that need to be addressed, like the roof and the HVAC and the siding needs to be replaced, we can do all of that. And I will say that many of the homeowners assisted in these programs are seniors on fixed income who are struggling to afford the home maintenance and home repairs, kind of let things go because of their inability to afford it. And we were able to step in and help them stabilize their home and make it, a safe place for them to age in place. So the other thing that we accomplished under this goal was Richmond Habitat for Humanity used home funds to rehabilitate a single family home in Ettrick, and they sold it at an affordable price to an income eligible home buyer. So that is a model that it kind of slowed down over the last few years due to like the really high price of single family homes or single family lots for nonprofit housing developers to purchase and rehab or construct, but things are picking up a little bit now. We actually have 3 more of those types of projects in the works, which we're very excited about. So things are looking up there. And then also under this category, we have housing opportunities made equal, providing down payment assistance and housing counseling they provided it to 4 first-time home buyers this last program year, which is a nice increase from the year before where we actually weren't able to provide to any home buyers because the houses were just way too expensive to afford even with the down payment assistance. So things are looking a little bit up with that in that regard too. And then the goal to preserve and improve existing communities, this one we didn't have any specific project or program fall under, but we basically say that the home repair and rehab programs, they fall under this preserving and improving existing communities goal because we complete the deferred maintenance on properties in communities where the homes are older and many occupants are aging in place on limited fixed income and there are little to no affordable available desired housing options. So basically we're like honing in on existing communities and improving them by putting the funding towards home repair. So here's just an example of one of our home repair projects completed. This was a very, very dilapidated house. Like not all the houses are in this poor condition from the start. And we, Habitat for Humanity completed this project where the roof needed to replace, the siding was replaced, there was window repair, among other things. And that was, obviously much needed. And the homeowner is very satisfied and happy to be able to continue living safely in their home. So the third goal is to promote healthy and self-sufficient families. So a couple key points here, and I won't go through everything because we actually have, so all of our like public service programs fall under this goal, like anything that's like a service to provide youth services or senior services, that all falls under here. But just some highlights here. We had ACTS, Area Congregations Together in Service. They provided eviction prevention and pre-diversion services to 36 households or 112 individuals. So that's basically like providing funding to help prevent someone who's facing eviction, so paying past due rent, that sort of thing. And then we also worked with the YWCA. They served 56 Chesterfield residents that were seeking permanent housing case management support. And this was folks who were fleeing domestic violence or sexual assault. And 23 of those households were rapidly rehoused in Chesterfield or housed in other localities that were safer for them and their families. And then communities and schools, Chesterfield provided educational programming and case management to 547 students. That should be students, not student. And then we also work with Homeward to continue implementing the Greater Richmond Continuum of Care programs and services. Over 1,000 Chesterfield County residents end up, receiving some sort of benefit or service from that programming, either by accessing emergency shelter or utilizing the Homeless Connection line. So we're really happy about that partnership. Let's see what's on the next slide here. Well, I'll continue some more of these highlights. So then we also worked with Humankind to provide 338 Chesterfield residents with services through their Economic Resource Center. They received a variety of services, including financial literacy, loan application assistance and approval, and then ongoing case management support. And then we, lastly, Better Housing Coalition provided case coordination and wellness support for low and moderate income seniors that reside in their affordable rental communities in Chesterfield. And that was 256 senior residents received that. So that's folks who are seniors aging in place and programming to support that. And then we had one public facility project with CDBG funding, which was we provided CDBG funds to SOAR 365, the nonprofit that manages Camp Baker in Chesterfield, and they were able to undertake HVAC and plumbing upgrades to be able to better serve residents with disabilities who participate in the programs at the camp. So basically, you know, upgrading everything so that it's more efficient and the buildings run better and perform better, and then the programs can be better for it. So we were very excited about that partnership, and the, you know, the benefit to the families and individuals who are served there is really great. So looking ahead, we do have some exciting programs on the table for this current fiscal year, FY25. I won't go through all of it, but basically under the public service, we have a lot of the same programs that we funded in FY24. I'll note that there are 3 different ones from last year, including the Chesterfield Food Bank. We're funding them for a senior cares initiative where the food bank will provide like curated personal care products and nutritious meal kits to seniors some of who are homebound, in order to kind of be more pointed with their outreach and their reach in the senior community. And then we're funding Cornerstone Revitalization Center, their Big Pal Little Pal program in the oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the name. What is the mobile home park?
Shady Hill.
Thank you. Shady Hill, Shady Hill Mobile Home Park. And so that's like a youth services program there. And then Chasm, an organization that we funded with some of our COVID CDBG funding, we're revamping their emergency financial assistance program where they're able to provide like small amounts of emergency assistance to help with like utility payments or rental payments, that sort of thing. So, and I will say like ACTS and YWCA, they were funded in FY24 and we're continuing to provide them funding just with a different funding source. It's with the American Rescue Plan funding that the county still has access to. So those programs will still be accessible to Chesterfield residents. It's just a different funding source. And then with housing, we're continuing prioritizing those critical home repair programs. We know that that's a very important aspect of our programming, so that's not changing. We also are focusing on some distressed property acquisition. I don't know, Nick, if you want to chime in on that and give some updates there, you're welcome to, but I also can move forward.
Sure. From time to time, there are blighted properties that owners continue to pay taxes on, but do not take any effort to correct the issue. And we're trying to, rather than tear a home down that still has some residual value, to save that by acquiring it and then putting that value in the hands of a nonprofit to turn it into an affordable home ownership opportunity. So we've only acquired 1 home so far. And Habitat for Humanity is going to start working on that probably this year. I mean, I've already been out. I've been in a very vacant, moldy house with all their folks more than I want to, but so that we use some of our money if we're able to acquire property to do that. It's highly unknown whether we'll be able to do it or not because a lot of times people don't respond, or we will have to go to court to finalize the deal. So,
Thank you, Nick. So that's one avenue that we're taking to support the construction or development of future affordable home ownership. Another avenue is what I spoke about earlier with our home CHODO funds. We are able to provide funding to nonprofits like Habitat and Project Homes who already have the property. They come to us and request the funding, and we can support single family home ownership development. So we do have 3 of those projects in the works right now too. And then we'll also be supporting down payment assistance funding for Housing Opportunities Made Equal, and hoping that continues to ramp up this year. So continuing into what's next. So we're submitting the CAPER by September 28th. And if any of you want to submit comments, that availability is online on our website, and we'll make sure, Sarah, you want to put the website link in the chat real quick? Thank you. So if you are a current subrecipient, a reminder that the first quarter reports are due so Tuesday, October 15th. And we do like to receive the report before we receive invoices, or just at the same time, so that we can review that and then pay the invoice. So those projects are all ongoing. And then we have other exciting things going on. We will have our application for next fiscal year opening, anticipating opening is Friday, October 25th. And we're planning on having a public info session about that application on October 30th, I believe. And we'll make sure you all get invites to that. And then the closing will be Sunday, December 15th. And the big news right now is our development on our next consolidated plan. So that's like the big plan that the county utilizes to plan out, like as a blueprint for how we want to spend our funding over the next 5-year period. And we're really trying to go a little above and beyond this time by really having more intentional consultation and community engagement and thorough data analysis. So we're working with a consultant who's helping us with the needs assessment and market analysis sections. And we're meeting with all different county departments who have like a stake in this type of data and analysis, and getting some local data that, you know, that HUD might not even have, not like census data. So really trying to put our best foot forward there. So any comments on that? There'll be plenty of opportunity for you all to be involved too. We'll have, I think we are setting up individual stakeholder meetings with some nonprofits, and some of you may have already received an email about that. And then the other thing is just for the broader community, we're having public meetings Tuesday, October 15th and Thursday, October 17th. This is where we'll present like the initial findings from the needs assessment and market analysis, and provide our initial thoughts on what type of goals and priorities we're thinking about having for the next 5 years, and really asking for some community feedback on that. So those meetings will be, I think the Tuesday, October 15th one is at the Bon Air Library, and it also will be virtual. We'll be able to have a Teams link too. And then Thursday, it's in the multi-purpose room in the Community Development Building at the County Complex, but that also will be virtual too. So we want to have a lot of opportunities for folks to get involved. So with that, I'll open it up for any feedback or questions, thoughts on any of these, what we've done in the past or where we want to go in the future. We're all ears.
Jessica, this is Kelly Kinghorn with Homeward. I'm going to submit my comments in writing also, because there's like one section I'd like to edit. And there's one typo under one chart. Do you want that now? Do you want that in? So the typo is the dollar amount for CDBG. It's on page 6 of the draft in the CR15 chart.
Okay.
I think you're missing a 0, but
thank you.
But
thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's one typo someplace, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I'll find. But
if you can send that in writing, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I will. But I just want to say, like, overall, like thinking about homelessness, I think a real highlight for me in reading this is how Chesterfield County took the lead in the home ARP allocation process. Like that, it's mentioned in the CAPER. I mean, and I'm going to like highlight that in my written comment that, I know that was a lot of hard work and herding cats and moving pieces, but like that work alone is, is going to be incredibly impactful, right? And I just like the county, stakeholders and leadership should recognize that, right? That work, isn't easy.
Thank you.
Like,
yeah.
So really kudos to the staff. And I think that's a highlight.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We should have had that in the presentation. You're right. That was an accomplishment.
Right? I mean, to me, like, it's huge, right? And the funding sources are complicated, and HUD writes it for a national audience. And the way, I think really with the leadership of Chesterfield County sort of like digging in and persistently pursuing that, like, was really impressive.
Thank you.
And like the fact that you mentioned, like with the financial assistance, like you could spend all your money today meeting those needs because of, rising costs and poverty and, aging households, all of that. And so I really like how you mentioned that you were funding additional grantees, like from American Rescue Plan funding. So sort of like aligning and leveraging all of that funding is also like worth noting and highlighting, I think. Right. So with the really sort of like targeting the limited funding to community needs and the housing conditions, the way you've done that with like the rental housing and housing rehab is really, it's again, like just worth flagging and highlighting. So congratulations on that.
Thank you, Kelly. We appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, Renee, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I was looking at the chart, the very first chart you have on here, and I was just curious about your expected strategic plan numbers and your actual strategic plan numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you have like so much gap in between of like you had expectations of doing something and did zero, and then you had no expectation of doing something and then you had a fairly large number?
Yeah, that's a great question to bring up, Renee. So basically what happens is when we do our consolidated plan process, that is the strategic plan goal numbers that get set up, right? So like 5 years ago, none of us were here at that time, to be honest, but a consolidated plan was set up and they do a strategic plan, set goals, and do like kind of an estimation of what type of projects we're going to do in those next 5 years. And so like that informs like how many, like if I'll do an example. So if the strategic plan set, because I actually don't have it in front of me, but I think I know what you're referring to. So if the strategic plan said that we would, the outcome would be like 1,000 people getting 1,000 units being served through like a building facade improvement, right? Like there was possibly a goal set up 5 years ago that we had the intention to run a program like that, but somewhere along the line, like that intention got lost and we didn't actually set up the program. So we weren't able to ever say we improved any building facades in the last 5 years. And then on the other side, sometimes ideas for projects come up after we put the consolidated plan together that don't meet any of those strategic plan goals, and we end up, that's why, like, so if we realize, oh, there's this project to support home repair, and let's say we didn't have it in the consolidated plan, which we did, but let's just say that, then like that would show, because the strategic plan said didn't anticipate us doing that, it would say we served 100 people and then the strategic plan was 0. So basically we see that is not ideal to have those discrepancies. And when we're building when we're putting together a consolidated plan this year, like our new 5-year plan, we want to be very intentional about what we say we're going to do and like have real plans for well thought out implementation, so that like what we say we're going to do, we actually are able to follow through on, and then leave some wiggle room so that like if new ideas come up, we can still get that in there so that we're actually making progress towards the goals that we intend to. And then if we don't, then like we do have the option to go back and amend the consolidated plan, which is something that we maybe could have done in the past to like make that all even out. Does that make sense? Sorry, that was like a long-winded answer, but it's something that we are aware of and like want to avoid as much as possible in this next consolidated plan.
Yeah, that was another one of my questions is, did you have the ability to go back and adjust your plan? And
Yeah, it's
And you just didn't.
yeah, I think that's what happened. And we definitely can make sure we do that when possible in the future.
Yeah, I get it. Not, things change, especially
Exactly.
They've
Exactly.
also,
And yeah, go ahead.
how come you don't put any dollar amounts in your source/amount column?
Is that
Like,
in that same table?
Yeah.
So that gets auto-populated, and we don't have a way to enter any information in there. So I will say that the this software, the online platform that we use that generates this report for us and that we then enter some information in is very old. It's called IDIS. It's what HUD uses, and it's a template that gets put together, and there are some kinks in it that HUD I don't even think really knows about. We try to let them know here and there, but that is one of the things where this table, yeah, we can't put there's not an option to put information there. And what we can do, I suppose, Renee, is like, I'll take a look at that. And there is the narrative section. So if we want to maybe make something more clear in the narrative, if it's not clear on the table, we can do that. So I'll take a look back at it and make sure that that we have everything filled out the best we can.
because I know a lot of people will say, okay, so you have helped this many people, but how much did you spend doing that?
Right. That's a good point. Yes, Sarah, we'll take a look at that and see, because there is an issue where like we can't even adjust that section. I don't think it just would auto-populate, and for some reason it sometimes doesn't pull through. So I appreciate you bringing that up, Renee.
Okay, I got a couple more. If
Renee,
anybody-
not even 2 hours before this meeting, we met with our DC HUD rep and complained about this very fact. So then they told us they're not sure anything can happen in short times, but we made it known, such to the point that I got shushed for belaboring the point. So we're trying to make it better.
I get it. Government is not easy to deal with. I got some more questions if I'm not stepping on anybody. Okay. Your critical home repairs. I know in the past we've had a list that was like pretty extensive and several years out to get them done. I'm wondering, is that list still there? And
yeah, but sorry, go ahead.
Still a couple of years out, or is it shortened?
I think it's actually shortened a bit. We were able to put more funding towards home repair over the last couple years. So I would say the more comprehensive home repair program that Project Homes works on, that's still probably 2 years, just because they only can serve about 8 homeowners a year with the funding we have available. But the critical home repair program, we provide, it's close to like, I think it's about $800,000 across 3 nonprofits. So they've been able to like work through the list. And I think a lot of the times, like, a homeowner can reach out to one of the nonprofits, and depending on the time of the year, like, they could be on the list for like that coming year.
Okay, so they're actually able to spend, they've got enough people to do the jobs to spend the money that's allocated?
Plenty of people to spend all the money they have, yes.
That's good, because I think in the past that might have been part of the problem, is there wasn't enough people to actually do the work. I did have another question about that. I noticed that you did more repairs outside the target area. And just knowing what is around my area, I was just kind of wondering, why were those people in greater need of what was already on the list, or just kind of what the thinking was?
Nick, go ahead.
I can take this.
Yeah, thanks.
We spent time with all 3 of the subrecipients that we provide funding for home repair for, and they start out with people applying, and that list will get whittled down as people realize my income is above the limit, or they can't wait, or they find another way to get the repair done, or people don't respond. So, when you apply to this program, you have someone on the other end of the phone that is trying to help you collect everything that we need and guide you through the process and the steps of things that are going to happen as someone comes out in the field and meets with you and goes over everything. And then when the contractors come out, they're there to tell them like, hey, this is what's going to happen and all of that. But even with that much hand-holding, we still get people that don't come back. So our lists are really, they are the people that apply, and then they're the people that follow through. And so it's not so much that we are excluding people because they're not in geographies. Our outreach that is done tries to target those areas, but it doesn't limit people in other places from receiving services. The
If they
best
meet the
way
income qualifications, yeah.
That's right. The best way to help your neighbors access these programs is to help them physically fill out the forms, reach the people, and go and do it. And where we have kind of concentrations in an area, it is because of word of mouth and neighbors talking to neighbors and things like that. So if you have neighbors that you think could use the program, you should go to them.
Yeah, I've tried for years to get some to do it, and it's for one reason or another they don't. So I was just kind of curious if you had more interest in other areas. I'm assuming that people are doing what they're supposed to in the other areas as opposed to your targeted areas. That's why you did them.
Yeah, well, it depends. We don't exclude, like we target our outreach to the target areas, right? The nonprofits know that those are the areas that they should be, giving mailers out, that sort of thing, the best they can. But when it comes to folks applying for the program, Renee, it's really like a first come, first serve situation. Yeah. So whoever actually gets their income documentation in and they meet the qualifications for the program overall, they're just who's going to get served first. So we do the best we can to target those areas, but we don't limit it to those areas only.
Couple more. The lead paint program. How long y'all going to continue that?
So that's actually wrapping up now. The program officially ended on September 10th. So we are in the closeout process now, but I actually did just have a call with our HUD rep for that program, and she suggested potentially so it depends on if the state is getting funded again this year, but she suggests having a partnership with the state so that we can make sure that folks in the county who may need lead-based paint related repairs, they could get served under the state program. So more information on that coming as we figure that out. But basically, we just didn't feel like the need in the county for that specific issue, there wasn't enough of it. Actually, we did so much outreach. There was so much that Project Homes did and the county did, and we just weren't serving that many people. So it didn't really justify us continuing having our own grant funding for that program.
Gotcha. How much of the funds did you get to use?
You know what, Renee, I'll have to get back to you on that. It was a good bit of it, but we definitely are going to have some returned to HUD. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to work, but I can get you that information as we work through the closeout of the grant.
All right. I think I had another one. Oh, in the on page 24, you had funding and home program income was received and a certain amount was drawn down on it. It's the IDIS report. It says between July 1st, 23 and June 30th, 24, $53,447.80 in home program income was received and 14,223 was drawn down. How come? Is that it out of that amount of money that was actually used? And I was just wondering why it wasn't used.
I'd have to look back at that, but I think what happened is basically because we're looking at just that time period from July 1st to June 30th. So basically in that time period, we received we deposited checks of program income in the amount of 53,000 and some change. And then we physically drew down the funds from use those funds from HUD in that same period. But I believe what happened is we've spent the rest of that since then on on projects that were part of PY23, but it happened in the next program year. So after June 30th.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
we receive, so for those of you who don't, program income is kind of confusing, but basically what happens is with the home program, there are when folks receive down payment assistance or homeowner rehab assistance, it's set up with a deed of trust. So it becomes like a forgivable loan. So essentially the person has to stay in their home for usually it's 5 years. And if they want to sell the house in that 5-year period, they will owe a balance of the amount that was, the assistance that was provided. So let's say they were provided with $10,000 in assistance. If they want to move after, halfway through that, then they'd owe $5,000 back, and that comes back to the county as program income, and then we put it back into that same program that that person got assistance from. So basically, the money just is kind of like a cycle, like it comes back in and helps someone else, and basically we put it, so that's when we spend the program income, that's what it's spent on. It's about helping someone else in the program. So anything else, Renee?
I think that might be it. I did see one typo on page 6.
Thank you. We always appreciate the typos. That's the other issue with IDIS. There's no spell check, so it's a little bit frustrating. But yeah, if you want to send us out those typos, that's very appreciated. Does anyone else have comments or thoughts or questions on where we're going with things in the next couple months?
It's too bad we weren't missing 2 zeros instead of 1 in our total award amount.
Yeah, thank you, Kelly. Appreciate you taking a look for the typos. All right, well, we always appreciate everyone's involvement. Thank you for taking the time today to attend, and we will.
I do have one little thing real
quick.
quick.
Thank you, Sarah.
So I know, Jess, you already mentioned our website, get all the updates. So there have been some recent updates on our website. If you haven't seen it or can't tell, our county did launch our new website, which has been really helpful. And so now the way we publish our meetings is now going to be on something under grant news and public notices, which if you'd like, you can actually subscribe to this type of feeds and you'll get notified when we update or when we upload a public notice, or for example, the CAPER notice or any public meeting. So any of the just mentioned the consolidated plan public meetings are coming up in October. And so we'll have all the information on our grants page. So I can go ahead and just share it real quick. So that way
Thank you,
know how to access. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Great. So this is our grants page. And here you'll find all of our information, any resource plans, information about CDBG and home. And here you can find the process timelines as well for our CDBG and home consolidated plan. So we'll update it as we get the dates going. But at the bottom of it, you'll see our grants, news, and public notices. So this is where you'll find our information for any public meeting, and how you want to subscribe to that is if you go to the top of the page right here where it says subscribe and you select community enhancement, grants, news, and public notices, you can go ahead and subscribe to it. So anything that we do upload, you'll be notified through mail or phone number if you want a text. So that was my little update.
Yeah.
Any questions?
You,
Jessica, when did they change that? Recently, or is this when they did the new
When
format?
they did the new format,
Okay.
when they did the refresh of the launch.
Okay.
So I don't know if anyone here is subscribed to our news flash or any of our notices, but this is just another way for you to stay informed as well. I mean, we're always going to send emails, but just another way for you to have it.
Thank you, Sarah. Any questions on that?
Nope.
Okay. Well, thanks again, everyone. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.